Thank you.
I think we listened to a lot of various conditions, points. I think that the various sides of the argument, sometimes you have arranged draws, you draw offers, and then you go genuine draws. My view is that possibly maybe we go in the direction, maybe the Welsh system is interested in the 3 points for a week and one per draw. Because you'll be in a situation where you've got a genuine draw and you've abolished points for draw. So essentially you are treating people who have drawn as if they've lost. So maybe go halfway and go the big houses, 1 point and 3 points for a week.
Yes.
I'm a little worried this is being discussed under rules. If FIDE wants to make rules for its own, regulations for its own competitions about draws, that's fine, it can do it, and regulations must allow them to do it. If a big tournament with sponsors, if the sponsors want players to play team against team, they put it in the regulations, that's fine. If I pay to play a weekend Swiss tournament, we reach a dull ending, and both of us think we prefer to go to the bar, I don't want anyone telling me I cannot do it. And I don't think I'll vote for any of this.
Thank you. Any other comment? I know that I live in glass. I know. Please. Your last night, okay. Yes, Mr. Rubin.
Shaman, actually, when we are thinking about this 30-move rule, still practically it's not valid. You know, when comes to tournament, people, if we do that, they draw just like that. We make rules here, but when we go to practical tournaments, it opposite. So I mean, we are wasting time on this.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rubin.
Thank you. I spent an enormous amount of time this year on the rules of chess, and sorry I brought up something which I thought of here. And 2 things. One, echo what Nick said about it's not the laws of chess. We don't want you to bludgeon the players with the laws of chess. If an organizer wants to have a special rule, fine. And in our structure, that is possible. But the thing I really wanted to ask the meeting, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is do people prefer a game to be concocted to look as if it's a real struggle, but in fact has been prepared, because I suspect that there was such a game in the French Championship. I only suspect it. Or do they prefer people to be honest? I know that I prefer people to be honest. Thank you.
Any other comments? Should.
Now, listening to everybody, my impression was that the majority of the people who spoke that favor that they want to see fight. But I'd like to point out a couple of things that I noticed from everybody. One is that I think we have to differentiate between the rules of chess, which I think they are fun as they are, versus professionals or FIDE competitions. I think here, the General Assembly and FIDE, it's our obligation to set the rules of the competitions as we as a group or as a leadership sees it fit. So we could make, let's say, the rules for all FIDE competitions that there are no draw first, with, as in Sofia tournament, that would be at each serious competition. A judge who can obviously tell if it's an opposite colored bishop endgame and it's completely drawn and there is no reason to even reach the 60 moves or 30 moves or whatever number of moves or no moves at all in any position. Position, you could simply agree to a draw. It's obviously a dead draw position. By the way, in the US there is kind of a rule in some places that if a 1600 rated player can draw a grandmaster, that's the kind of definition of a dead draw position. So if you could kind of go by that judgment call as well. That's one thing. So obviously non-professionals at the weekend tournament shouldn't necessarily be obliged to the same rule because they're not getting paid. They're not getting honorariums, they're not paid for hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of prizes as some other players. So I think that's very important to differentiate those two. I think the natural idea of the whole game is to fight. And I think it's a wrong message to send to young students that it's an option to chicken out, to be afraid. The whole purpose of the game is to fight. So I fully support to take this issue seriously and maybe not in this assembly, but in the near future to move in that direction. Because I really think it's unfair to organizers and sponsors, to not get what they bargained for.
Thank you. Any other? Yes, of course.
Yes.
You made your point. Very clear.
Yeah. First of all, we have been discussing here for 20 minutes. Of course, the feeling is that we shall try to avoid law. However, we have to be very careful in producing a rule that could be applied in practice and not we should rule that shall be absolutely good for nothing. I am very afraid that these two high-level players agreed a draw or doesn't want to risk, or because of the situation in the final standing or in the qualificatory group, a draw is enough. The game shall be drawn in 10 moves, in 30 moves, or in 100 moves. This is very clear. So, I think that the problems can be solved only in two ways. One is to modify the score, as I have been said here, for 3-1 and 0. Or the other is to apply some financial regulation in the moment the price agreed. If not, the draw shall remain for two.
Thank you. The President and the Rivero then last before now.
Yes, so I'm also thinking to this difficulty to put into practice such regulations about draws, and I think, let's say I may estimate a percentage of, I don't know, 10-20% of the games could be prearranged, or during the game the players mutual agree to, let's say, to exchange pieces and to go to the draw. So it could be difficult to find practical solutions. Maybe one solution could be to combine with that, let's say, tie-break system. So for a draw, or for a, let's say, simple draw, to after the finish of the game, if we agree to a solution, to accept somehow draws after a number of moves and so on, or a repetition, natural repetition. So to implement a tie-break system, a blitzkrieg game in 5 minutes, maybe just after finishing the game, or after finishing the entire round, so before pairings. And having this tie-break is like, let's say, in football, penalty, kicks, or I don't know, other situations. And it's not complicated to, and we'll have a good result. They're forced to play, the players, they're not avoiding the fight. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, Ruben, Jan, and Sylvia, underlined their opinion will not change if we change the rules because the draw will be pre-arranged. Well, I'm not so sure because in other sports where a draw is forbidden, this is cheating. I just can remember in soccer, there's some in 2 countries, some players were put even in jail or pre-arrange a draw. So if we change rules, it's completely different. So if something strange happens, arbiters and everybody else can intervene. So in my opinion, if we change the rules and we add that an agreement on drawing is forbidden, this will be a problem of application of the rules, so this become cheating. So it's not a small change. My personal opinion would be an intermediate, 12 different rules for ordinary people, very strong people, is not the best solution because I agree with Sue that it's much more important for young players, for children to understand the spirit they need to fight during the game. So a possible proposal for me would be an intermediate proposal, something as till 40 moves, that for us is more or less as in soccer to the ordinary time. It's forbidden to do a proposal of draw or something else. Thank you.
Thank you. We said two last, some press last before Nigel, but no other. We should stop in a moment this discussion. We are making all these notes.
In fact, that's what I wish to speak to. I've heard now, I think, 5 separate proposals for how to deal with this problem on the floor of the General Assembly. The place for these proposals is to go to the Rules and Tournament Regulation Commission rather than bring them up here. It is the task of the Rules and Tournament Regulation Commission to discuss these matters and consider them, which we have done so. That's why we have presented this report, the Chair has presented this report, because we've had these discussions. And in fact, I also note that a number of these proposals are coming from people who did not submit anything to the Rules and Tournament Regulation Commission in advance to this meeting. And I think it is unwise to take a decision on this matter on the floor of the General Assembly when there is a process that already exists that everyone could have participated in before and chose not to.
We are right, we are not pushing for a decision. But it's important, it's very important, this moment, decision in our life is. That's why I have so much time. We're going to collect all these proposals. And then we're going to give to task probably to study with other commissions all these proposals, plus others that we will invite, federations and trade unions. Because really, I feel that today this is a very important problem in itself. And we should somehow see what we should do. Nigel.
Thank you. Just a few quick comments. The proposal to basically get people to play off games if they're drawn was tried in London in 1883 and it didn't work then. So these are not new ideas. Problem with the Bilbao system, to give 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, is very simple. In Curaçao, 1962, Bobby Fischer accused the communists of cheating by arranging draws amongst themselves. Now, in the same event, if they would have agreed, instead of making 4 draws against each other, to make 2 wins and 2 losses, they gain an enormous advantage over Bobby Fischer. Then he would really have cause to accuse them of cheating. It is a fundamentally, this asymmetric scoring system is fundamentally flawed and unsound, and I think not enough thought has been given to this. As regards the issue of banning draws altogether, just one comment. It's actually, if that is passed, at least it does not change the very nature of chess. It's a radical proposal, but it doesn't change the essence of chess. So it could be passed. Now, if you start forbidding repetitions, this alters chess. Incidentally, my proposal about stalemate, which was just to get you thinking. I wasn't really just to. I was throwing something into the arena to get you thinking about these matters. I'm not proposing it here. But if you start banning repetitions, I mean, Ian Wilkinson spoke of the beautiful game Fischer against Tal from Leipzig 1960. Now, that game ended in a perpetual check. So, Mikhail Tal's beautiful sacrifices would not have worked, and his check with Queen G4, he wouldn't have been able to make the draw by repeating the position. So, if you do things like that, you are altering the very nature of chess. So, that's it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Nigel. So, what we're going to do, we're going to make, you make very clear your point 2 times, Mr. Vandeste.
I don't agree with what you are recommending now. I think I have an amendment. We are a political assembly. It's a political decision. It's not a technical decision.
No.
There is an agreement, I think, between everybody. A necessity to now to fight against this kind of draw. So my offer, my amendment was in the line of all the intervention, except 1 or 2, is to say the player cannot agree to a draw in less than specific number of moves. A specific is 16, is 14, etc. Other propositions, or cannot agree at all without the permission of the arbiter. It's clear. Why I can't offer to the amendment to the Assembly and to vote now?
Because our procedure here, how we're working, is that we have our commission. If you wanted to discuss this proposal, there was the right forum to go to discuss, and the recommendation should come from our commission. So what we are saying today is that you understand there are different ideas and opinions here. We don't want to push to some decision that the Commission has not all these inputs to make the right recommendation, or maybe they're making the right recommendation. So it's not here the forum. The Commission is the forum where you have to sit here and make your proposal. And how you understand? I'm really thinking that is a very serious problem. That is what we are mentioning. So we're not trying to avoid to make a decision, but it's not the right forum now. In our moment, okay, someone makes a proposal, everybody speaks about this, different ideas, and which is the best idea. I understand that some people, and they're right maybe, they want to make chess more spectacular, and say, okay, we want to see blood of the Grandmaster. But nobody pays for this blood except the Grandmaster. For how many hours they should be bleeding, these guys? All these are serious questions. It's not the right forum to make this decision now. They should study very well and come with a full proposal. This is what we are proposing. Not be in a hurry to make a wrong decision here. So, yes.
Yeah, sorry, technically, Mr. Majeski, like other people, there's a FIDE agenda. Things that are to be discussed at the General Assembly have to be on the agenda 3 months in advance. Like Ali's put proposals on the agenda, other people put proposals on the agenda. This proposal should have been put on the agenda. It was not put on the agenda. Please follow the FIDE rules. The rules are, we have an agenda. If you want to make a proposal, you put it on the agenda 3 months in advance. And then, of course it can be discussed here. Everybody knows it can be discussed here. But producing it in the meeting when it's happening is not right, because there are many people who may not be here, who, if you put it on the agenda, might have wanted to discuss it. So please follow the procedures correctly. You've given us, we understand what you're saying, and Mr. Mikropoulos has said that we will take it seriously, and he's making his recommendations. But you cannot insist that we do anything here, because you failed to put it on the agenda. You must put it on the agenda.
Thank you. I left so much time for this particular discussion. It's only one point on the report that I left so much time because really I feel like you and others, that's a very serious problem. But we should not push something which is not the right procedure in our work. This is my point. We should not continue this. So we are going to collect, Mr. Heisen, we are going to collect all this, print, publish, all these proposals, task with all these communities. They are going to work out. Come back to the Federation, have your input. Probably by the next executive board, in 1 year, we can have a very good proposal where it will take in its consideration all the elements, all the problems. We want really to solve this problem. We feel it's a problem. With you, we feel like you it's a problem. Cannot be. I said it. So, Mr. Kaiser, it's an active discussion.
I want to make only one remark. As this article is written now, each organizer has the possibility to use his own idea about draw offers. If you don't like draw offers at all, you have the possibility. If you like to then draw offers before move 60 or even move 120, you have the possibility because the rules are written now that you have the possibility.
He wants to force everybody.
You want that everybody should apply your rule, I understand.
And okay, we should move. I would like also the committee to take in its consideration what Mr. Rubin said. Just somehow we pass like some not important comment, but I think it was very important. Now, Mr. Heisen, I have two questions concerning Rapid and Blitz. Well, please correct me if I have not understand well. Your committee is proposing here that the regulations during the tournament can change in every round, and this is dependent on the number of the arbiters. So the first round we play with X regulations, second round we can play with different regulations. This is, have I understood well or I'm wrong?
Let me explain you. For instance, there is a knockout tournament. You start with 128 players. I can understand that from rounds 5 until 8, you have not an arbiter for each game. You can put in regulation that if around 5 until 8, 3 arbiters in rapid, more than 3, one arbiter can supervise more than 3 games. You can put in regulation if you have sufficient arbiters for round 1 until 4, 1 to 3 for instance, that in that case you put on each board 1 arbiter, and then you have different rules. But as a matter of fact, if you like to prefer in A3 for instance, rapid, in an event, during the whole event, the same regulations, this is quite pity, in my opinion, because you go to the final, and the final, you should play according to regulations with only, let's say, one arbiter.
So I have understood well that it's possible in every round to have different regulations. If we don't have enough arbiters. If the arbiters for some reason they are not there, we look around how many arbiters there are, we make a decision about regulation. I'm not on the level of the grandmasters that they are here, but me as a chess player, really I cannot understand this. And I would like your committee to think about this again. This is what I say. Because even if you were talking about 5 rounds with fixed regulations and then another 3 rounds or 4 rounds with different regulations, even this actually is a problem. So please, I would like to think about this, and maybe the grandmasters that they are here, they can submit their opinion for your committee concerning this appendix A and B, A4 and B3, B4. Only this. So, can we accept the report with all these remarks that we have made today?
Sorry, I would also like to raise a point, and I think this is where you came to agreement with the US Chess Federation, that we have a situation now that according to your rules, at the moment, mobile phones in FIDE, when events are banned, as far as FIDE is concerned, if your mobile goes off, you lose the game. I understand from new regulations, it's up to the arbiter to choose this, whether it is or not. I think it's wrong, because it makes, you will end up with good arbiters who allow mobile phones to go off without banning you, and bad arbiters who, I mean, bad in words for chess players, arbiters who ban you immediately. I think we have to make, you can't leave that up to the arbiter. I think it should be a fixed FIDE rule. Either chess phones go one way or the other. Either they're banned, or you are defaulted if your phone goes off, or, because the problem is, further now, is mobile phones, to my mind, should be banned from tournament halls completely. Because you have your mobile phone, you go to the toilet, you switch it on again, you go and analyze again, you come back again. I mean, I think mobile phones should be banned completely from tournament halls, but at least...
We're not opening new discussions. I'm also supporting what Nigel said. We're not opening. This is for the committee to think. We're not opening this discussion again. Please think about this. You see what's going on. Not telephone in the playing hall. I believe it's a correct decision. We should have one policy. Yes or no? It's not possible that one time we decide yes, another time we decide no. So we will approve the comment, the reports with the comments that we have made, all these comments. Yes, thank you very much. I'm trying to... Yes, coffee break, and then I will try to move faster. Wait a moment.
Wait.
And then when we come back, we'll try to move faster.
Guys, wait, please. There are two federations, they want to sign chess school agreement with FIDE. Because the players are here, they want to do it in front of you. Tomorrow they will play. Mr. President wants this. If you don't mind, it's like a ritual. We can invite the President of Federations with their players to sign in front of your apostles. And the first federation is Ethiopian Chess Federation. They are going to sign chess school agreement with World Chess Federation. Players of Ethiopia is here. They can come also. Players staff, okay. Federation is the Malawi Chess Federation. President of Malawi Chess Federation, please. I want to impress that both federations are